If every nation on Earth owes money, who do they owe it to? Look around, every government, every corporation, every household, drowning in debt. But debt isn't just a number. It's control. It's power. And behind it lies an invisible empire, one not ruled by kings or presidents, but by credit, interest, and promises that can never truly be repaid. This is a story about money. It's a story about ownership. Because when debt becomes the foundation of a global economy, freedom becomes an illusion. Today, we're uncovering how money became modern slavery. Subtle historical visuals, Mesopotamia, ancient ledgers, temples, and coins. Thousands of years ago, debt wasn't seen as evil. In ancient Mesopotamia, debt was a sacred agreement, a bond between neighbors, not nations. Farmers borrowed grain in spring, repaid it in harvest, and when debts became unbearable, kings would simply wipe the slate clean, a jubilee, a forgiveness. But something changed. As empires expanded from Rome to the British Empire, debt became a weapon. Soldiers were paid in coin, but citizens were taxed in the same money only the emperor could mint. The rich lent to the poor paid with labor. And soon, debt wasn't about survival. It was about hierarchy. By the 17th century, a new experiment would cement this power forever. Cut to old paintings, London, 1694, the creation of the Bank of England. In 1694, England was broke. War with France drained the treasury. The solution, a private group of wealthy investors lent money to the crown in exchange for the right to issue banknotes. Those notes weren't backed by gold in a vault. They were backed by debt. For the first time, money was created not by the government, but by the act of borrowing itself. It was revolutionary and dangerous. This model spread like wildfire. France, the Netherlands, and later America all built central banks modeled on the same principle. Create money from debt, charge interest on it, and control the supply. By the 20th century, nearly every major economy was running on this system. But here's the secret. If all debts were repaid, there'd be no money left in circulation, because the money you earn, spend, and save is born from someone else's obligation. Fast cuts. 1913, 1929, 1944, 1971. Timeline of critical monetary shifts. The 20th century turned debt into a global industry. In 1913, the United States created the Federal Reserve, a private central bank with public power. The Fed could issue money, lend to banks, and manage interest rates, effectively deciding the cost of money itself. Then came 1929, the Great Depression. Banks collapsed. Millions lost savings. The solution? More debt. Governments borrowed to rebuild. Industries borrowed to expand. And citizens borrowed to survive. In 1944, world leaders gathered in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, to rebuild the global economy after World War II. The deal was simple: tie world currencies to the US dollar and tie the dollar to gold. The system worked until it didn't. By 1971, America's debts grew faster than its gold reserves. President Richard Nixon made a fateful announcement. "I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold." That temporary measure never ended. The dollar, and by extension, every major currency, became fiat money, money backed by nothing but faith and debt. From that moment, money became an idea, one controlled by policy, printing presses, and computer screens. Modern visuals, credit cards, stock markets, inflation, housing crises. Once debt became the foundation of money, something fundamental shifted in society. Governments realized they could spend endlessly as long as central banks could print. Corporations discovered they could leverage debt to expand faster than ever. And individuals, we were taught that borrowing is normal, that a mortgage, a car loan, a student loan, even credit card debt, are just part of life. But it's not life, it's servitude. Here's the cruel equation. Money is created through loans. Loans require repayment with interest. But the interest doesn't exist until more loans are made. That means the system asterisk requires asterisk perpetual debt to survive. If borrowing ever stopped, the system would collapse. And so the machine must keep turning. Governments lower interest rates. Central banks print more. Markets rise artificially, and every crisis from 2008 to 2020 is met with the same solution: more debt, more liquidity, more control. But every time we fix it, the hole grows deeper. Cut between government bailouts, quantitative easing charts, IMF meetings, and digital currency debates. After the 2008 financial crisis, the US Federal Reserve created over $16 trillion to bail out banks, not citizens. By 2023, global debt surpassed $307 trillion, triple the size of the world's total economy. Every dollar, euro, and yen is chained to an interest-bearing promise. And yet, we're told the economy is healthy. Stocks are up. GDP grows, but beneath the numbers, the system is rotting. Inflation quietly erodes savings. Wages stagnate. Housing becomes unattainable. And while the average person struggles, central banks experiment with digital currencies, programmable money that could track every transaction, restrict spending, even expire by policy. The future of money isn't freedom, it's control at the code level. And if history has taught us anything, it's that those who control the debt control the people. Visuals. Rome's debased coins, Weimar hyperinflation, 2008 crash. Modern headlines: history repeats because human nature doesn't change. Rome fell after debasing its silver coins. The Weimar Republic collapsed when printing money made bread cost billions. And today, nations run trillion-dollar deficits as if math no longer applies. Each time, the same story unfolds: a boom fueled by easy money, followed by a reckoning no one sees coming. And each time, the solution is the same: to borrow more, print more, and promise this time it will be different. It never is. Dramatic music fades. Camera pulls back to reveal global skyline at night. So, what does this all mean? First, debt isn't just an economic tool, it's a mechanism of control. When you owe, you obey. Second, the money we trust isn't wealth, it's liability. Every dollar in circulation began as someone's debt. Third, the system depends on your participation. If people stopped borrowing, stopped believing, stopped spending, the empire would tremble. We're living inside a financial architecture designed to keep us dependent, distracted, and indebted, all while those at the top profit from the illusion of prosperity. But here's the truth. Every empire built on debt eventually collapses under its own weight. The only question left is who will own what's left when it does. Pause. Soft, reflective tone. Maybe the first step to freedom is understanding the chains.